Ever wanted to drop a bard into your campaign who can out-sing sirens, travel the underworld unscathed, and make even your rogue cry mid-session? Hello all you wonderfully funky world builders, Funky Monkey here, and welcome to today's Ballad of Love, Loss and Loot. This story comes with a side of haunting melodies, doomed romance and emotional damage worthy of a Greek tragedy. So grab your dice, tune your lute, pour something suitably dramatic, and let's descend into the underworld together. We all love TTRPGs, don't we? Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, Daggerheart, the myriad of other TTRPGs I've never heard of or I just forgot to mention, or whatever chaos your bard's backstory has unleashed upon your world. And if you're looking to build characters who can sing, charm and suffer in equal measure, you could use a generic minstrel. I also actually have a video about bards in general throughout history, but if you want a bard with real mythic soul, you could get legendary. And for that, we once again turn to the ancient Greeks, the Pantheon's writer's room. All drama, no rewrites, zero therapy. Today's tale, Orpheus, the lyre-wielding poet who dares to serenade death itself. Tune up, because this one hits all the high notes and ends on a chilling refrain. And because I strongly believe that the bard is the greatest class of all times, this one really speaks to me. Orpheus, the bard who sang to the gods and wept for the dead. Few figures in Greek myth strike such a haunting chord as Orpheus. Musician, poet, lover, and wanderer between worlds. His lyre could charm beasts, move mountains, and soften even the hearts of gods. He sailed with the Argonauts, braved the underworld itself for love, and inspired secret rites that promised mortals a glimpse of eternity. His tale bridges art and afterlife, love and loss, devotion and defiance, making him one of the richest mythic archetypes for storytellers and world builders alike. Whether you're crafting a bard with magic in their soul, a tragic quest for love beyond death, or a cult built around music and mystery, Orpheus stands ready to guide your imagination. Let's talk about birth, parentage, and early nature. Orpheus wasn't your average Greek hero swinging swords or slaying monsters. He came from the wild lands of Thrace, where music was magic and kings were poets. Born to the muse Calliope and either King Oeagrus, or in some tellings the god Apollo himself, Orpheus had creativity woven straight into his fiber, running through his veins. From his mother came the gift of poetry, from his divine or royal father the power to command nature through song. Even among the heroes of Greece, Orpheus stood miles apart, an outsider from the misty north whose lyre could move hearts, calm storms, and make even stones weep. When it comes to his early education and instruments, while most heroes trained with swords, Orpheus trained with the sound of creation itself. Legends say Apollo gifted him a golden lyre whose notes shimmered with divine resonance, a sound so pure even the stones leaned in to listen. Some say he also mastered the Kelis, a simple tortoise-shell lyre, turning everyday objects into vessels of wonder. Raised among the muses on Mount Parnassus, Orpheus learned songs that weren't just melodies but invocations, music that could summon calm from chaos. As he played, rivers changed course, trees uprooted to follow, and wild beasts sat in peaceful silence side by side. His mother, Calliope, taught him poetry. His father, either Apollo or Oeagrus, taught him purpose. Together they made a bard whose art blurred the line between mortal sound and divine command. Now let's talk about the Argonautic expedition and the sirens. Before tragedy turned his song to sorrow, Orpheus sailed with legends. When Jason gathered heroes for the quest of the Golden Fleece, it was Chiron who suggested he brings a bard, because sometimes music wins where muscles fail. Orpheus took his place among warriors and demigods, his lyre gleaming brighter than any blade. Apollonius writes that his rhythms stirred even the oaks and stones of Pieria to follow him, proof that his music could move more than just hearts. His greatest moment came when the Argo neared the deadly sirens. Their voices promised paradise, but beneath the sweetness waited death. As the Argonauts faltered, Orpheus lifted his lyre and played a melody so fierce and full of life that even the sirens fell silent just to listen to it. The crew rowed on, spell broken. All but one sailor, Butes, who dove towards the voices and had to be saved by Aphrodite herself. This is a good one for TTRPGs. A bard song that can outsing enchantments? Perfect for a sea campaign. Imagine your party crossing cursed waters where only rhythm and resolve can drown out the call of madness. Love and loss, Orpheus and Eurydice. No song in all of myth hits harder than the one Orpheus sang for lost love. He and Eurydice were the picture of devotion until tragedy struck on their wedding day. The god Hymen arrived with a torch that refused to burn. A bad omen if ever there was one. Soon after, Eurydice was bitten by a serpent while walking through the fields, and her light went out forever. Grief drove Orpheus where few mortals dared to tread. Lyre in hand, he descended into Hades itself, filling the underworld with his sorrow. His music stilled the furies, softened Persephone's heart, and even moved cold Hades to mercy. They agreed to let Eurydice go on one cruel condition. Orpheus must not look back until both had reached the world of the living. Orpheus had to trust that his beloved would follow him out. You know how this goes. Just steps from daylight, steps from reunion with the love of his life. Doubt won. Not knowing, not sure if her shade was following him towards the land of the living, Orpheus turned, and with a deep sigh, a mournful sigh, she vanished. One glance, one heartbeat too soon, and the woman he'd sung the world still for was gone forever. Virgil says he mourned beside the river for months, his song echoing through the dawn, refusing comfort or companionship. For storytellers, it's the perfect tragedy. A love strong enough to defy death, undone by a single human moment. There are of course variants of his death and fate. Orpheus's end is as haunting as his song, tragic, violent, and soaked in mythic poetry. In the most famous version told by Ovid and Apollodorus, the bard meets his death at the hands of Thracian Menedas, frenzied followers of Dionysos. After turning away from the love of women and devoting himself to his sacred music, Orpheus angers the Menads, who resent both his rejection of women and his power over their husbands, inspiring them, swaying them. It was too much. When they attack, their spears and stones fall harmlessly at first, tamed by his melody. But once they drown out his lyre with their own shrieking and drums, his magic fades. The weapons strike, and the wild women tear him apart, limb from limb, scattering his body across the hills. Even in death, Orpheus's music refuses to die. His head and lyre drift down the river Hebrus, still singing, until they wash ashore on the isle of Lesbos. The islanders, awed by its music, enshrined it as a sacred relic. The head continued to speak, offering oracles to those who dared listen. For a time, fishermen and travelers would visit this eerie prophet of the waves, until Apollo himself, jealous of the rival voice offering counsel and prophecies, ordered it to fall silent. Dionysos, enraged by the sacrilege of Orpheus's murder, transformed the Menades into trees, a fitting punishment for those who silence beauty with violence. In mythic hindsight, the poets of Lesbos, Sappho, Alcestis, and the island's other legendary lyric voices were said to have inherited Orpheus's divine inspiration. His spirit, they claimed, still hummed beneath the island's winds and waters, shaping songs for generations to come. Other versions shift the cause or the killer. Apollodorus says Orpheus revealed the mysteries of Dionysos but spurned mortal love, prompting the Thracian woman's attack. Pausanias recounts wilder endings still, one where Zeus strikes Orpheus with a thunderbolt for exposing divine secrets. Another where grief drives him to end his own life after losing Eurydice a second time. In Macedonian lore, his bones rest in an urn atop a pillar in Pieria. That was until a shepherd toppled it, exposing them to sunlight and unleashing a flood that destroyed the city of Libethra, just as an oracle had warned. For world builders, each version offers a campaign seed. Perhaps Orpheus's bones must be recovered before disaster strikes, or his severed head still whispers forgotten hymns that open the gates to the underworld. His death, like his music, never truly ends. It echoes eternal, daring heroes to listen. Imagine a colossal temple where a preserved, whispering skull offers riddling prophecies, or an island where poets draw power from a relic said to hold the last notes of a god-touched bard. Whether artifact, oracle, or curse, Orpheus's voice lingers, proof that art, once born, never truly dies. There's also a legacy and cultural impact that we need to talk about. Orpheus wasn't just a musician. He was mythologized as a spiritual innovator. Ancient writers like Pausanias claimed he found the Orphic mysteries, secret rites that promised purification, healing, and a blessed afterlife to their initiates. These mysteries taught that the soul was immortal and could be purified through ritual and knowledge, ideas that would later echo through Pythagorean and Platonic philosophy. In many ways, Orpheus's descent into the underworld became the blueprint for spiritual initiation, a symbolic death and rebirth through music, love, and divine revelation. Still, not everyone believed the legend. Pausanias himself suspected that tales of talking animals or Orpheus's divine parentage were poetic exaggerations, and modern scholars debate whether the Orphic hymns truly trace back to him. But myth doesn't care about accuracy. It's a story, it's an exaggeration, it's a teaching method. And Orpheus's name became shorthand for mystical wisdom, his myth transforming into a religion that bridges philosophy, poetry, and faith. In your world, an Orphic-style cult could teach that music holds the key to transcending death itself. Perhaps your adventurers must perform a sacred hymn that opens the veil between worlds, or confront a bard who's gone too far in trying to sing his soul to immortality. Orpheus's legacy as the ultimate musician outlived even his mortal voice. In antiquity, poets used Orphic as shorthand for anything so beautiful it could move nature itself. A song that could charm stones, beasts, and gods alike. His image filled Greek art, painted on vases, carved in marble, and immortalized in mosaics where his lyre drew the world to stillness. Orpheus' story has echoed through every single age like the lingering notes of his lyre. Roman poets such as Virgil and Ovid retold his story with haunting beauty, shaping the archetype of the tragic artist. In the Middle Ages and Renaissance, writers reimagined his descent into the underworld as a Christian allegory. Orpheus became a stand-in for Christ descending into hell. The Baroque era turned the myth into music itself. Monteverdi's L'Orfeo, written in 1607, became one of the first operas ever written, proving that the story of a musician who defies death was meant to be sung. Centuries later, Jean Cocteau's Orphée, in 1950, transported the myth into surreal modernity, blending poetry, mirrors, and mortality. Each retelling, whether ancient or avant-garde, reaffirmed Orpheus as the eternal artist. His art, the bridge between life and death, the mortal and the divine, and bridging eras. The myth of Orpheus reminds storytellers that art can transcend worlds. A bard's song might open planar rifts, a poet's final verse could wake a sleeping god, or a fallen artist's melody might still haunt a city's dreams. Wherever there's magic in creation, there's a spark of Orpheus. Orpheus's myth is a treasure trove of narrative fuel, part tragedy, part quest, and entirely mythic. Here's how to better include it in your world if you need even more inspiration. You can, of course, send your party into the underworld on a rescue mission with a twist, and success hinges on obedience to one rule: either don't look back, don't speak, or don't lose faith. One impulsive action could doom them all, but this is DM's discretion, and I think this is pretty straightforward. But you can also introduce Orphic music, spells or relics that turn performance into divine influence. A single chord might calm a dragon, silence the undead, or charm the deity of death, himself, herself, or itself. You could also have hidden sects devoted to Orpheus's promising enlightenment through ritual and song. Joining them could grant secret knowledge or a curse that binds the soul to music forever. Players might recover lost hymns or even guard his sacred relics. Borrow the emotional weight of Orpheus's greatest flaw, doubt. Create a moment where a PC must trust the unseen, risking everything if they falter. It's mythic storytelling distilled into just one dice roll. And there's so much more, you can go wild with this. But as a DM tip, this is not about necessarily world building. But when in doubt, remember, Orpheus's greatest power wasn't his lyre. It was his belief that beauty could defy the impossible. Give your players moments where hope and art matter more than hit points and hit dice. You'll capture the spirit of the world's first bard and enhance yours. In conclusion, Orpheus endures because his story strikes every chord. Love, loss, artistry, temptation, and the fragile line between mortal and divine. His journey through the underworld isn't just a tale of romance gone wrong. It's a mirror for every mortal who's ever doubted at the wrong and the worst possible moment. His death, whether by lightning or the frenzy of the Menades, reminds us that knowledge and beauty can both enlighten and destroy. Orpheus is the gift that keeps on giving. In world building, he can appear as a spectral bard of the underworld, or in the underworld. A saintly patron of musicians, or the lingering echo of a cursed lyre that compels anyone who touches it to relive his sorrow. His myth invites players to wrestle with trust, hubris, and the cost of creation itself. Whether you play him as a tragic hero, divine troubadour, or the first bard of legend, Orpheus proves one thing beyond doubt. Sometimes the softest song can move mountains, or shake the gates of Hades. And with that, if this lyrical plunge into love, loss, and one man's dangerously overpowered bard build hit you right in the feels, or gave you an idea for a campaign, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join this growing funky community. Drop a like, show me that you love this, and ring that bell like Orpheus, hitting that high note that makes Hades pause mid-brood. Got a favorite mystic musician, tragic romantic, or dungeon delving bard you'd like me to cover next? Drop it in the comments below, or just stop by and say hi. I always love hearing from you. Thank you for lending me your ears, and I appreciate your time. Until next time, stay curious, stay funky, keep your party alive, and remember, when the DM says, "Don't look back," they really mean it. Have yourselves a melodically awesome, funky day. Cheers. Orpheus, the bard who sang to the gods and wept for the dead. A few fingers over there, because bards.